Hello everyone, this is Fantasy-esque and welcome back to Lakeburg Legacies. When we left off in the previous episode, we had divorce and death in the kingdom, and I feel the central character around all of this was most definitely Oliver the rat trainer. So he, guys, was a while back married to Colette Corb, who had a daughter, Mabel? Yes, Mabel, with one of her former husbands, if I'm not mistaken. Where is Mabel? Mabel, this adorable little child right over here. She had Mabel with Emmerich. And then, straight after having Mabel, they divorced, and Colette ended up marrying, I think, Oliver. And not too long after that, Colette died. So Oliver decided that I think he would marry Olive, right, to give some sense of security to Mabel. So he married Olive, and then not too long into their relationship, literally in the last episode, he and Olive divorced. So he essentially dumped his stepdaughter into Olive's lap, into his new wife's lap, and ran away. So he was homeless for a little bit. Meanwhile, Mabel was being raised by his stepmother, Olive. So there was that. And then Oliver lucked out because Chris down at the Mason's workshop just died all of a sudden. And following his death, something happened. They had a moment. Eloise and Oliver, who kind of dislike each other, they hate each other practically. They had a moment and things got a little bit too far. Maybe they were drowning in their sorrows and weren't paying attention to the fact that on any normal day, they don't get along. These two ended up getting married. They are, I think, in a loveless marriage at this point. I even got an achievement because I married off two enemies. But they're now together in one household. Time will tell how that works out. But now Oliver is stepfather to Althea, Eloise's daughter. Yeah, that's a bit complicated, but that's kind of how things went. So Oliver has literally just been jumping houses at this point, and he's ended up under the banner of the Bonnet family. We'll see how that goes for him. He's almost become like a rat himself, just scurrying around all over the place. Okay, well, let's go ahead, get things going. I don't think there was anything for me to do in terms of helping out these guys for their employment. Olive is the only single one right now. We don't have any males for her. Also, guys, there is a family who is currently expecting a baby. And that family is the Nash family. So Meliora and Godric are expecting a little one. Where do the Nashes live? Yes, we have a stalk. It says baby in 6 days, but I feel like it's lying to me. Just watch. 6 days are gonna go by, and then it's gonna say in a number of months. I don't know, I feel like it. Okay, let's get time going and see what happens. Oh, never mind, they weren't lying. It really was 6 days, okay. Wolfgang and Cecilia have met each other, and apparently they don't like one another. They made a bad impression, which is different to Wolfgang and Calanth. Wolfgang actually is good friends with Calanth, gets along very well with her. He is always by the sewing workshop, and I can imagine him maybe being here because he was visiting his friend, his childhood friend at the sewing workshop, Calanth, who's got an apprenticeship and seems to be quite practical, unlike Wolfgang, who's very proud of the fact that he has lofty aspirations and, is pretty confident that at some point in the future he's going to find his way into one of the things he wants to be. Meanwhile, Cecilia, he probably heard, was like screaming and whining, basically being a child. I think Nathan, who knows, maybe Nathan brought Cecilia with him to work today. Well, you know what, actually, Nathan and Margaret's marriage, I can see being maybe a little bit better because they literally work side by side. Margaret is at the carpenter's workshop, and the bakery is literally next door to it where Nathan is. So I imagine Cecilia maybe spends quite a bit of time either with her mother in the carpenter's workshop or in the bakery with her father. I guess the day, on this day, Cecilia was at the bakery and Wolfgang was just so annoyed by Cecilia. Fair enough, But let's take a look at the new little baby. Oh, look at that, little baby Han. Is this a boy? Yes, it is. A crafty little boy who is ascetic and has an average relationship with his parents, 44% with his mother, 49% with his father. So gets along a little bit more with his father. but he likes dancing, fashion, music, dislikes muscles, dueling, and poetry. Okay, and it seems as though he has inherited his mother's hair and skin and his father's eyes. Okay, that's interesting. And, oh, look at that. He has baker potential, mason potential. So he wants to be just like, well, none of his parents work in either of those industries, but that's okay. He wants to be a baker or a seamster. Oh no, a mason. A baker or a mason, which is fair. I feel like our version of Lakeburg, what am I saying? Lakeburg? No, Lakeburg. Our version of Lakeburg, guys, produces a lot of like bakers. A lot of people in Lakeburg want to be bakers. They aspire to be bakers, or like to be sewers, or like, seamsters. It feels just the way I feel, which is kind of fair. Maybe that's like our industries. But also, if we look at like the resources we have so much iron. We have 2,100 iron. So we're making like way more than we're actually using. We're not really using a whole heap of iron. And this is probably stocks we have accumulated like over quite a few years at this point. And we have started like, we've started kind of storing a lot of wood as well. And it kind of makes sense, but in terms of, even building, we've started stockpiling because we don't have a blacksmith. This is the one kind of, and I'm aware of this, guys. This is why things have kind of clogged a bit and chugged to a very slow pace, because we don't have a blacksmith. We need a blacksmith to produce tools, because some of the buildings that we are going to have access to next, they almost always require tools to be made. So without a blacksmith, even something as like 10 tools we cannot make. And if we cannot make, then there is no progress. So we're kind of stuck more or less in this loop right now. And the only thing that's going to get us out is if we have a blacksmith, or if we have a blacksmith born. I kind of feel like one of the youngsters, I don't know who, but I feel like one of the youngsters I remember had some like potential for becoming a blacksmith, but at this point I have no idea where that's going. And obviously it also depends on, there's a lot of variables. It also depends on the order in which they have potential for different jobs, like what they want to do more and whether or not we have a vacancy for that. For example, if we have a child or a young adult who has potential for being a blacksmith or a hunter, and we have vacancies in both like we do right now, but they have number one potential for being a hunter, I'm gonna make them a hunter. So we'll have to wait and see. But currently, Lakeburg, I think as the older generation is starting to die off and the younger generation is slowly taking over, their positions, we're having a bit of a, we're shrinking a bit, we're stepping back a bit. We're in the handoff stage, I think. This is the transition stage between generations where things are a little bit uncertain, different, rough, not quite the way it used to be. Okay, let's keep going. And see what's going on over here. Okay, we have some things regarding the various marriages. Anne Frost and Hubert Everhart might potentially become friends. One of our farmers and our miner. Anne Frost. Hubert is married to Emelina, the lady of the evening. And Anne Frost is married to Valerius, who she has a little girl, Mirabelle, with. So, okay, they might become friends, which is kind of interesting. That is fair. Oh, guys, we can recruit. And, I would... Look, not too long ago, we just increased our storage for wood, and already we have hit max for wood. We need to save up more gold coins. We don't have enough gold coins to make that... increase storage. But okay, we want to recruit. We have, at this point, wood to build houses, and that is going to be helpful, actually. That's going to be helpful. So let's come over here to recruitment and see what we have. So we have Achille, who is 20 years old, of the noble class. Blacksmith! Or fisherman, or god, but he wants to be blacksmith the most. Oh my goodness, my boy. And then we have Isabella, who's 22 years old, of the artisan class, could be a huntress, which we kind of need as well, but guys, come on, blacksmith. We need a flippin' blacksmith. We're gonna get Achille. We're gonna get Achille. Come over here, my boy. Come over here. Gonna slap you down at the forge. Literally, we were all dying and desperate to have you. We need a blacksmith for weapons and tools. Like, yes, please. Yes, please. It is not going to take us long before we can start actually having our own, like, the next building. Just wait until we have the next building. Thank you, Achille. Thank you. We're going to change his last name, and we're going to get to know him a little bit. Let's see. Doria? Achille Doria? That's fine. Okay. Tell me about yourself. He is devout, ascetic, humble, and also frail. Oh no. Oh no, that is not good. We need him getting married, producing children for us instantaneously, because we are going to lose him. He is our savior, but our savior is not going to be around for too long because of that frail thing that he has. The life expectancy is going to be very low. Kind of like the very first lumberjack and villager we had, Teresa. I don't know if you guys remember her. She died very, very young because she was frail. But okay, he is an intelligent sort of guy. Very interesting. In terms of his preferences, he likes fishing, dancing, and the art of war. He dislikes treats, divination, and gossip. Okay, well, let's find you someone to partner with. So let's go ahead and see who you might find for yourself. And we actually have some houses, I think, that are vacant. So the wood's not even going to be spent building houses. Okay, let's have a look. Who can we find? Bodil, who's 18 years old. She looks interesting. Of the peasant class, she is a she might be crafty or social, I'm not entirely sure, but she's brave, ill-mannered, and funny. Lady of the evening, mason, or seamstress. I mean, hey, that's fine. We have backups for a few of our industries. She likes cuddles, feasting, muscles. She doesn't like reading kittens and the art of war. Let's have a look how this date goes. We're starting off at the boat ride on the lake. We can say that there is a charming fishing spot around here, or talk about the kittens. We're going to talk about kittens. Bodil doesn't share the same opinion about these darn flea bags. That was kind of mean. And then they're at the inn. We could talk about the honor to be had on the battlefield, or that muscles are amazing. Of course, we're going to say muscles are amazing. As a big woman with big muscles, Bodil is proud of their ability to lift, hit, and break almost anything with their bare hands. And then we're going to be at the hill by moonlight. We can talk about the importance of cuddles, or say that food is disgusting, or, you know, the display of food at the banquet was disgusting. We're going to go for that one. But Bodil doesn't dare ask Achille if he's as keen about second breakfasts and afternoon tea as she is. Okay, I think it's a match. It's going to be a loveless marriage, but that's okay. She looks really, really cool, to be honest. She looks really cool. They have average affinity, which is not that bad. Not that bad. But let's see. Bodil, I'm going to change her name a little bit. We don't want another Raymonda. Let's see. Malis? I like Malis. Malis. Let's see. Malis Clock? We'll have Malis Clock. I don't mind that. That's a cool name. Okay. Lady of the Evening, Mason or Seamstress. Well, we don't have space there, but we did just recently lose Chris, so she can actually take up a spot as our mason, as our, like, fourth mason, which is great. So our stone production, which is also very necessary, that's going to help out a ton over there. Okay, well, things are looking okay so far. They're homeless, sorry. I will get you guys settled in to the neighborhood where we have the Knapp family, the Frost family, and the Fitzroy family. So you can be the direct neighbors to the Fitzroys. So there we go. Now the Clark family has moved in. They have a 6% chance of having a baby. Fair enough, fair enough. Okay, so they have settled in quite nicely. That makes me immensely happy. And I don't have money to increase our wood storage. I don't have the monies. I am so sorry. We don't have money for that. we're just gonna have to keep going at this point. Let's keep going, see what ends up happening. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Eldrick and Brynja, where are they? Eldrick and Brynja have met each other and they had a good impression. Eldrick, who's one of our hunters, and Brynja, who works at the Mason's workshop. That is very nice, very nice. Let's continue. What else is going on around town? Oh, no way! Pepin? Pepin died of hunger? Guys, Pepin was the first guy, like, born. He was the first baby born in our Lakeburg. And I don't think he's had a kid of his own. I think he has a stepchild. 37-year-old hunter died from hunger, apparently. Hold on. And I don't even think we have anyone alive. This is crazy. But, like, how do you access... You know what I just realized? If you do not have a direct blood link, well, it doesn't have to be direct, does it? If you don't have a link to someone, and say they were single their whole lives, you would literally not have a way to trace them back. Who the heck was he married to? Because I, for the life of me, cannot remember. Who was he? Was he married to Sapphire? Okay, we might be able to track him this way. Because, yeah, he was Sapphire's first husband. So, okay, this is wild. He never had any children. So he was unable to continue, like, his bloodline. But this is something to think about, isn't it? If he had not married Sapphire and he had died, or at this point, say, yeah, if he had, like, married Sapphire, or not married Sapphire, then we would not be able to, like, see this page. We would not be able to check out him. We would not be able to look at how he was connected to the other villagers, who he was related to, the fact that he was Lupin Teresa's son. We would not be able to see any of this. The only reason we get to is because he married Sapphire. Isn't that wild? Because for everyone in your bloodline, that's why it's important to, like, procreate, right? And to have children and such, because if, or even to, like, have lasting marriages, or at least someone, even if one of your spouses had a child with someone else, or you have, yeah, like, that's important in some way. Because otherwise we would not be able to track this kind of stuff. And that would be very, very sad. I'm a little bit crushed that he couldn't have any, like, children of his own, because I did have a soft spot for him. I did. But now we have, what, 3 singles? Okay, all 3 of our ladies. Oh my goodness, hold on a second. Effie just grew up, guys. Effie just grew up. So Olive and Sapphire are both single. Olive is 24, Sapphire is 23. Effie just became a young adult. Look at her. Doesn't she look interesting? She is the daughter of Arik and Ganora. That is wild. Her stepmother Sapphire raised her, and now, like, she, or I suppose her stepfather Pepin only died recently. So he was there, but now she doesn't have a connection to anyone else. Literally in her family tree. Her parents have passed on. But okay, she's humble, indecisive, ill-mannered, and weak. So not the greatest. And let's see, she wants to be a baker. I don't know if we have a room for a baker. I don't think we can expand because, like, we don't have enough wheat. There's not enough people working at the farms for us to produce the kind of wheat that is going to give us an extra slot at the bakery. So she is going to have to be without a job for now. But what I can do for her is give her a home. We do have a vacancy over here. So there we go. She is going to continue the Whitecliff family, and she's going to move into the same neighborhood as the Winterbournes, the Bonnets, and the Taylors. This is the young district, pretty much. One of the younger districts she's moving into. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. It's kind of wild how fast things are changing for us, and, you know, how the different villages are aging up and such. But yeah, Sapphire and Effie, they're going to have to wait, along with Olive, they're going to have to wait either for our younger boys to grow up or some divorces to happen. I don't know right now, but yeah, they're going to have to wait it out just a little bit. Ah, yikes. Okay, let's let's make a final push. Let's keep going and see what ends up happening. Oh, and now is their chance. Because Carla and Lucius have just divorced. Okay, that means Lucius is now a single and homeless. And Carla is more focused on Bruce. Her son Bruce is like 17 years old. He's got a year until he is out into society. And Carla, I think, is young enough. I mean, she's 38. She could have like another child with someone else if she wanted to. Do I have enough money to increase storage stone capacity? I do. Okay, I might not for the wood, but I do for the stone. So we'll go do that. And should I wait until next time? Should I do that? I might do that, guys. We have, essentially, Lucius, who has divorced. We have 3 women that he could, well, not 3, but you know. He just divorced Carla. Actually, no, we do have 3 women. We have 3 women that he could potentially end up with, all around his age, because he is like 23 years old right now. And then not long after him, we are going to have Carla's own son, Bruce, I think, who is going to become a young adult. So some of the other ladies are going to get a chance to maybe end up with him. So we're going to have the younger generation more or less mingling in a little bit. For now, though, I think it is a good time for us to wrap up over here with the changes we've had. But okay, guys, with that said and done, I am going to leave off. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.